All right, everybody, we're live. This is Richard Hart with Brent Nally. Brent Nally is a longevity enthusiast and probably some other stuff, but he can tell you about that. Go ahead, Brent.
Hey, Richard, thanks so much for having me here. Really appreciate it. And I am a longevity enthusiast, but I'm also an enthusiast about many other things, including crypto, all the work you're trying to do. And I think that longevity and cryptocurrency actually have a lot more similarities and things in common that we can kind of piggyback on in both communities that maybe some people are not aware of that hopefully we can chat about.
Sure. The only relationship that I know of between longevity and crypto is that a lot of people that donate to the Sens Foundation and other longevity initiatives have crypto. So Vitalik donated a few million to the Sens Foundation, which I think you know more about than I do. I think he gave 3 million, and I think he gave another 500,000. So I think he's donated twice.
Correct. And there's the Pineapple Fund as well, which is
Ooh, okay.
anonymous still, to my knowledge. So somebody
Do you know
had
how
a lot
much
of
Pineapple
crypto.
gave?
Somebody can fact check me, but it was a lot. I think it
Okay.
was like 50 million, but I could be
No, they
wrong.
gave
So fact,
55 million to a bunch of people, but the question is how much did they give to Sens?
right. I don't recall, but it was a lot, I thought. So
Right.
somebody should check that.
It's $1 million is the answer. So the Pineapple, so Vitalik gave like 3.5 million, and Pineapple Fund gave 1 million, and then I think there's a dude named Mike something that also donated. He's in Germany. What's his last
Don't
name?
Yeah, I don't recall his last name either.
Yeah. So there's a Mike in Germany that's like a tech startup guy that also has donated, and that I think he's the reason that they now have the Sens like meetups, like the Sens conference every year. I think that he's the reason they have them in Germany now instead of Cambridge. Well, I'll just Google it.
Yeah, but essentially like the higher level what I want to
Michael
try and get at,
Grieve, he gave 10 million to Sens.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I interviewed Dr. Arbiter Gray in July of this year, I asked him, "Hey, what's maybe one of the most exciting things or something that maybe people aren't aware of that's been changing in longevity?" And his answer was emphatically that Silicon Valley, serious, wealthy entrepreneurs are for the first time within the past 2 or 3 years really starting to look at longevity science and actually starting to invest. So that's a general message that I want your audience and the whole world to be aware of because they wouldn't be doing this if they didn't think that it was possible. Like wealthy people who are intelligent don't typically just piss money away investing. They might piss it away gambling, private jets, lifestyle, but they don't typically just piss it away
Right.
from my experience.
My position on this is very simple. Do you want to remain alive? Do you want to remain healthy? Okay. Well, if better science and better medicine exists when you start falling apart, then you'll be okay. And how does that science get created? By scientists. And how do they do their work? With funding and education. And so what you need, if you don't want to die and rot, and every day that you're alive, there's a grim reaper coming and killing some of the people around you. So like my grandparents are totally dead. My dog's dead. Um, you know, Looking at me, I'm not sure how long I'm going to be around. Do you want to put up a fight while you can, while you're still able to stand? Or do you want to die with a whimper like a bitch and not even put in any effort and not even try? And a lot of the world decides to die like a bitch and doesn't put in any work, doesn't put in any effort, doesn't do any research, doesn't do any funding, doesn't do any outreach, and they just fucking die. And everyone that they have loved dies, and their children die, and it just keeps going on and on and on. It doesn't need to be that way, you know. Aging will be cured at some point. It's just a question of whether you get to be alive when it occurs or not. And when it gets cured, you're still going to die by accident because life is still dangerous. So statistically, if you don't change your habits, you'll die at about the age of 600 if aging was removed as a cause of death. Which is, it's not bad. So if you think, there's a lot of people that live, not a lot, but there's quite a few people that live to 100. And so how much better would the world be if the most productive, most intelligent, most useful humans we're still around to still be kicking ass. What if Einstein and Edison and Alexander Graham Bell and everyone else, Tesla, was still alive and inventing today? Well, it's not much to ask for. Clams live 600 years, lobsters live a few hundred years, whales live a long time, tortoises live, 200 years. It's like trees live 10,000 years. There's a lot of living things that live a really long time, and humans just aren't one of those things. And that's a tragedy for the world. So we need more science to be done. We need more research to be done. We need more human beings doing good and honorable things, healing the humans, which are the most valuable things in the universe. The only consciousness we're aware of exists in man. And if you like the idea of consciousness and life, everything on Earth is going to be permanently extinct. Permanently extinct. 99.9% of all things that have ever existed are permanently extinct right now because a meteor comes along every once in a while and wipes everything out. And that will happen again. There will be a catastrophic extinction level event on Earth again. And the only way to prevent it and the only way to maintain life as you know it now is for the humans to solve that. We have to intercept the meteors and change their trajectory to miss us. We have to prevent global pandemics. We have to prevent nuclear holocaust. The humans here have to do these things. No one else is going to be able to do them. And so I see a world where everyone's putting their time into shit that doesn't matter. Cosmetics, F1 racing, even going to Mars. Yeah, it's fun. It sounds cool. We'll have interplanetary redundancy. So now I'll be more likely to die earlier and more painfully because everyone else wanted an insurance plan to be able to fuck off to some other planet. I would rather have a better chance of surviving and making it on my own at the cost of interplanetary redundancy, right? I would much rather have a lottery ticket of sticking around for a while than letting myself die and some other guy has an okay time on the red planet. Fuck that, is my opinion. I disagree with the way Bill Gates runs his charity, even though it's amazing. I disagree with the way Elon Musk allocates his time, even though it's amazing. These are two of the best, most productive human beings that we have here on Earth, and I just have a different value system than they do, even though they're smarter, more productive. I know I'm a bitch compared to those guys. It doesn't mean that their belief system's superior. So my belief system is simply that not all human lives have the same value. I believe that people that I know and can interact with and maybe will meet in my life are of higher value than people that I can't speak to, won't ever meet, might not be related to, might not even like. So for me, every human life is not worth the same. If you're a murderer, I don't think your life is worth as much as if you're a healer. So.
Richard, I agree with pretty much everything you just stated there, and I'll just say that I'm even a bigger bitch than you are compared to Bill Gates, Elon Musk of the world. So I also disagree with Elon Musk with their vast wealth and time. I think they could be doing it a lot more effectively. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you just dropped out for a second, but you're back. So you left off saying that, those guys are great, but they could be doing it better. Yeah, I'm not willing to watch my family die so that, 50 other people somewhere else that I'll never meet and never interact with have a better time. Fuck that. I care about my family. I care about myself. I care about my loved ones. I care about people that I can talk to and interact with and work with and make the world a better place. And I believe in meritocracy. If you're a more useful, more functional, more productive person, you're worth more than a counterproductive loser who does harm, period. I don't understand why people have this fantasy that equality exists, which one, it does not. Two rulers aren't even the same size. You're just bad at measuring. They have different grains in the wood. They have different actual lengths. To know how long a meter really is extremely hard. Even if you take a kilogram weight and lock it away in a vacuum sealed area guarded by walls, it still gains mass every year, and you don't understand why. You're like, well, how does this keep getting slightly heavier? And it's the science question, how that occurs. Is it gamma rays, or is it, what is it that's making this change? So the fact that people think equality even exists, it's just not true. Even ideas themselves can't be equal because they occur at different times. So you're in a different state when you have two different of the same idea. Even if you say X equals X, you're different as you process that. So you're a different person as you process the first X and the second X. So and even if equality did exist, it's bad. It's the opposite of synergy. So imagine a football team where you have 11 quarterbacks. It would suck, because what works is specialization, where two things are different and then they synergize and get more done together. So we have different size cars. We have, sexual dimorphism, where different animals have different traits. Girls have, different traits than guys. They're different shaped. Why? Because it's more useful. They can do things guys can't. Girls can breastfeed, guys can't. Girls can pop out kids, guys can't. So like, if you believe diversity is strength, then you must stop saying that everyone should be equal, because what you're effectively saying is that everyone should be weak. Because if diversity is strength and you don't have any diversity, well, then you don't have any strength. You have less strength. But these people, they live, so many like feminists and social justice warriors don't realize they're making the world a worse place, advertising for sameness, when in fact, yes, diversity and meritocracy is actually power, and they're trying to destroy it. It's gross.
Richard, can I tell a quick
Please.
feminist story? So I went to University of Kentucky, born and raised in Louisville, graduated in 2007. In 2005, as just part of my degree, I remember with my counselor, put together this class for me. They didn't put it together for me, but I joined this class called Women, Men, and Society. And I guess I was so green or whatever, young and naive at the time, I didn't even understand what it was till I showed up the first day. And of course, it was a feminist class. It was taught by a gentleman, probably in his mid 40s at the time, shaved head, jacked, but walked around super, super feminine.
Huh.
And from the very beginning, that was my real first introduction into the philosophical ideas and history of feminism in that class. It was about 70 people. And from the very beginning, I just said, well, this is really bad branding and marketing. It should be called equalist. That's what they say that they want. The feminist movement say they want equality, but they call themselves feminists, which really, when they brand it that way, it's kind of like, and then when you start listening to the most extreme of them, they don't just want equality. They want
superiority.
Better. Right. And then they feel all the superiority, and then they want kind
but
of
not
like
through
reparations.
Right. But not through earning it, by complaining for it.
Correct.
It's like,
and the funny, so I'll end the story with this, Richard. This is kind of the punchline, this in a sense. When I said this to this teacher, he looked at me with this look of bewilderment, and also kind of like a light bulb went off. He'd been studying this stuff for 20 years and nobody had ever like explained it to him in the way that I did. And it was just, I'm not some genius. I'm just saying, like, from the very beginning, I'm like, well, you guys just have bad branding. You should call yourselves equalists, which is, of course, isn't good, as you already explained.
Well, it's better than superiorists, right? Like, it's so, yeah, you can, it is rare that you can change people, but it does happen. So I've through the limited work that I've done with my Sci-Vive book, which isn't published, you can just download it for free now, and through the videos I've done, the self-help videos that I did maybe 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago now, I changed lives.
I've watched, by the way, all of them, and they're fantastic. Nice. I recommend them.
Thanks, man. Yeah, those videos where I don't even blink because I'm new to the camera, they saved lives. They got people to stop wasting their lives gaming on bad games, stop playing poker, stop doing so many bad things in their lives. And because they didn't go viral, I kind of like gave up on it and didn't keep doing it. But then as the years go by, you get messages from people that you find out that you've touched, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that it was really making a difference. But it really is actually making a difference. Not at the scale I'd like, but if you save or improve 50 people's lives, isn't that pretty good? I mean, how many lives do you need to save until you're like, yeah, that was worth it? I mean, maybe one is enough, right? If you could really make a difference in one person's life, I think you should feel pretty great about that. So
I think it definitely is, Richard, and those videos are great. I watched them all, and I didn't necessarily need that advice personally for most of it, because I kind of already understood those things, which is probably why I'm here talking with you. But there were a few moments in there I was like, damn, the poker one for me. I already knew poker was a zero-sum game, and I played, I've played some at points in my life. I played in the World Series of Poker in 2018, and
All right.
The Colossus, not the main event, the
All right.
Colossus. Um, and I've always done pretty well in poker, but the reason I haven't played more is because I've been busy doing like important shit.
Right.
And in any event, those are great videos. I highly recommend people check them out. And just kind of starting focusing on YouTube a little bit more this year on my own channel, I have start to find it's actually, I'll shout out Jason. He's the individual who watched both of our channels and put, us in touch. I knew who you were, but put the seedling in me actually, doing a collaboration video with you. So thank you,
Right.
Jason. And, the feedback that Jason and some other folks have given me, man, that's fuel. Cause like nobody's paying me shit for this. I don't turn on ads in my videos, even though I should. I'm doing this shit because I think it's really
Yeah.
important and I want
Yeah.
people to understand this. And the feedback, guys, the feedback that you get for positively influencing lives, that is what personally drives me.
Yeah, it helps a lot. It really helps a lot because, particularly with longevity research, no one understands it to the point that they actually hate it. And so if you actually want to help longevity research, you should never mention that you're trying to help longevity research, is what I've discovered. So I think
Right.
I think the best path for getting people to do medical research is to advertise it in all the ways that they find acceptable, which is save the kids, let's fight cancer. 40% of people die of cancer, 40% of people die of heart disease. That means you're 80% likely to die of one of those without knowing your family history. So, do you want to save your kids that are going to die of these things? Do you like that happened to everyone in your family tree before you? Well, do you want it to happen to yourself? Okay, so let's work on those things. I think you can get more money and more funding for nearly anything. Dental research would probably get more funding than longevity because people don't understand how it works. They think longevity research is where you take an old person and you keep them old for longer. It's not how it works. How it works is you just don't get old people. People just stay young, but they don't understand that. It's called the Tithonus error. So your option is, do you want to do the hard job and do outreach, explaining to them why longevity is actually cool, and then they get stuck having to have that same conversation with everyone they talk to? I don't want to be old forever. That shit.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It just really is clunky and it really sucks. So what if you could get the same revenue, and more funding by calling it cancer research and heart disease research, because in effect, the stuff that you're doing will cure those things. It's just a different pathway to do it. You're attacking the pathology earlier instead of later. So you're not doing morbidity compression where you'll get all fucked up and then we just reduce the time from fucked up to dead, which is what we do now. So we've had increases in life expectancy, but we've had no increase in lifespan. Lifespan is still max 122. Life expectancy has gone higher, but we haven't moved that 122 a fucking inch. So we're just compressing morbidity. It sucks. What we need to do is engineering that can move that 122, regenerative medicine, longevity escape velocity, where we can cure a year of aging every year. That's what we need to do. And in order to do that, we can't keep working on this geriatrics bullshit where we wait until you're wrecked and then try and help you with your wreckness. We just need to make you not wrecked to start with. So we're just shifting the focus of the medical interventions to a phase before the problems show up instead of after the problems show up, for the most part. So like Senolytics is kind of great, but it does to some degree wait until you're fucked up a little bit, but it's still probably the best we've got for longevity tech now. I guess the best longevity tech we have now is stop eating like an asshole, take metformin and some Senolytic shit, and that's it, I think.
I think there's some other stuff as well that's really exciting. We can chat about that
like
now.
the M&M stuff.
Not at the molecular level. Like, so M&M would be a molecular level stuff. I interviewed Dr. Michael Fossil last month. He has a company called Telesite, and then I've interviewed Liz Parrish in July, and then I've also interviewed Bill Andrews a couple times.
I'm glad she hasn't died of cancer yet. That's nice.
Yeah, so they're all interested in telomerase gene therapy, and they're all interested. Okay, yeah, we can. I wouldn't think that you would be, because Aubrey de Grey has,
I,
spoken against
I
it.
just take Aubrey's position on it. You're like, the reason we have these telomeres is a check against cancer. If some cell decides to keep replicating over and over again that would kill you, it runs out of telomere space to do that, and then it puts a limit on its ability to fuck you up. So if you do things like extending telomeres, then in theory you should have more cancer problems. And so, like, I, I don't. I think most of the problems that people are having, if cancer and heart disease is what kills 80% of people, well, how much of that is caused by shortening telomeres? Not much. Like your 7 keto cholesterol, artery clogging bullshit from heart attacks, that ain't got fuck all, nothing to do with telomeres. So it's not going to affect heart disease probably at all. And then you've got cancer. Well, it seems like making the telomeres longer makes cancer worse, not better. So like for me, it just seems like
Well,
something that.
that that part, that's definitely not true.
All right.
Making telomeres. So let me just back up for just a moment.
Uh-huh.
Because what we're talking about, Richard, is actually a really, really complex thing
Okay.
that within the longevity community, there's a lot of discussion and
I think
argument
we
over.
should just skip it then because it would suck our whole conversation's time up, and we wouldn't
Okay,
come to a conclusion.
that's a fair point. Let me
Yeah.
just end on this point then.
Sure.
Liz Parrish did this a little over 4 years ago. Her telomerase gene therapy. She also did a myostatin inhibitor gene therapy, and she hasn't got cancer yet. So,
So like,
so
myostatin is a regulator that your body has to prevent your muscles from getting too big or
right.
something along that line. So if you find kids that have a mutation which kind of knocks out their myostatin,
Hmm.
then they're jacked as fuck. They're huge, just gigantic, strong as fuck people.
Right.
Not size wise, but muscle wise. Their muscles are gigantic. They're not any taller than anyone else, but their muscles are fucking huge on the frame that they have. So she did that. What exactly, like, how is Liz Parrish, in theory, if that shit even got adopted into some large percentage of her cells, which I'm not sure it would, because a lot of your cells that you just can't get to from your bloodstream, right? So, like, but maybe your muscles surely are one of the ones that can get there. So maybe there's a high percentage of her body that has been changed through that gene therapy, which I'd be curious about. Like, I'd like to poke holes in random spots in her and see really what type of epigenetic effect that gene therapy got. Not sure how happy she'd be about it, but because I think you'd have to culture the tissue. Like, you got to cut parts out. You can't just take blood. How is her being stronger helping her fucking life? The only reason it helps old people is because they don't fall and break their hips in the shower. She's not old enough to fall and break her fucking hips. So how is having a higher muscle density or higher muscle mass at her age helping her at all? I don't think it is. And she could have just lifted fucking weights if that's what she wanted. So in my opinion, that just was a shitload of extra risk for her for no really good fucking reason. Like, if you want extra muscle mass, we have other ways to do that now that don't involve fucking gene therapy.
So those are all, pretty good points. I'll try and share. I do have some perspective on that. So unless it was just a rhetorical question, I can
Go
kind of
ahead.
share.
Yeah, you talk.
So the myostatin inhibitor, that gene therapy that she did, is separate from the telomerase gene therapy. Even though
Yep.
she did them at the same time, she has gotten criticism from people because they want to see them isolated. But
Yep.
the fact of the matter is that we're having this conversation right now over 4 years after she did that, because there's not anybody doing
Yeah,
this
there's
shit.
marketing value in it, sure.
Right. And
Yeah.
she, while she had all these scientists together and went down to Colombia, South America, to do this, she wanted to get them both done. And the reason that she did the myostatin inhibitor, which is also known as follistatin, is to prevent something called sarcopenia, which is what you alluded to. It's the actual scientific term for people getting old and frail, their muscles and bones getting old and frail. And many, many years, from where she was chronologically 44 years old at the time in 2015. So she was not at risk for getting sarcopenia. But the reason she did that is because she wants to prove that the gene therapy actually worked, and her muscle mass has improved from MRIs before and after. That doesn't prove anything. She's just one person, but she says she hasn't been working out as much. So it is makes you scratch your head and think that it probably is working. But as you also spoke to earlier, Richard, nobody, including Liz Parrish, knows for sure, what the telomerase gene therapy and myostatin inhibitor gene therapy actually, if it did take effect in some of her cells, all of them, to what extent, those are still unknowns right now. And we need way more
Yeah.
research to know them. But getting back to the myostatin inhibitor, the reason she did that is to just see if maybe she can prevent sarcopenia decades from now from this one therapy she did in her 40s.
Hey, I lift weights. I want bigger muscles. I'm
Right.
just not willing to risk my life for it. So it's like fucking.
Yeah, no, she's gotten a lot of criticism for what she did, and risking her life. And I think the only thing that will truly answer that will be time, to see how she continues to develop. And there's a chance. I mean, Liz is a friend of mine now. I mean, I've developed a relationship with her. I saw her again at RadFest. I've interviewed her. But first and foremost, I want people to know that I'm doing these interviews, and my work is because I want to figure out the truth. And I won't jeopardize my ethics or morality or anything for this. If I find out that this was a bunch of BS and she didn't actually do it, and I find that out, I'll let people know immediately. So,
Well, I mean, like I don't think anyone's questioning that she did it. I think everyone kind of questions whether it was had any effect or not.
right.
I mean, look, I mean, if you want to be fucking evil about this, we need human trials on everything. We need
Right.
more experimenting to be occurring. So fucking, if you want to make progress, shit needs to be tried. And so you can only do so much on the computer. You can only do so much in the fucking lab. You can only do so much in animals. At some point, you have to try this stuff on humans. Now, I'm not qualified to know like where we are with that and what should be, tried on humans yet and what shouldn't be. So like, I'm not the right guy to ask about that. But I tell you what, if I heard that the Chinese people were going crazy doing experiments and stuff, I'd be like, yeah, cool. Keep up with that. Hope that works out, right? I don't know. They're kind of making it look bad. Like, if you're the Chinese are doing some interesting things over there.
Yes, they are. Chimeras and all sorts of crazy shit, right?
Well, I mean, if you're an Uyghur and you're a Muslim, apparently they kidnap you and take your organs and shit. This is the rumor. So it's like it's about as bad as evil as you can fucking get right there.
Yeah, that's pretty low. One thing that you mentioned earlier, Richard, when you were talking about how so many different species live a lot longer than us,
Yeah.
there is the zookeeper problem where, records are tough to keep because we've only been keeping, pretty scientific records for so many years. And, a lot of times these animals outlive the zookeeper, and then who knows if they kept those records properly.
Right.
But there's also an organism that's a multicellular organism called Hydra, Hydra. And this organism's cells do not age, So
Look at
that's
jellyfish that just never die. They keep renewing themselves.
Yeah,
They've got
jellyfish are a little different because they're like asexual. And as you just said, they just keep renewing themselves. But Hydra are not asexual. They're just a multicellular organism. And they do, they have offspring sexually like humans and most organisms. But it's just, I think we should be studying Hydra more. And I think that we have cells in our own body, our germ cells, our sperm cells, and our egg cells in humans. And those cells, they do age, but they age insanely slower. So for example, if I impregnated a woman in my 80s, that baby would not be as healthy, most likely,
right.
as doing, as I am right now, 34. I have a 5-week-year-old kid. So my point is, hey, we should be studying our germ cells more and looking at what are those mechanisms. And one of the things that they found is that the telomerase enzyme is turned up 100% in our germ cells, which is just, we'll leave it at interesting to kind of bring it back to that. There's many other differences in the germ cells from our somatic cells. And to define terms here, somatic cells are just all the cells in the rest of your body or an organism's body that are not the germ cells, the reproductive cells.
Okay. So, I mean, it's like we need more of everything research. If you believe that human consciousness is the most rare and important thing in the universe, then it would be nice if some large portion of humans worked on that, the most important thing, healing humans. Healing the meat or healing the consciousness. I've known people with mental illness my whole life, and that shit's terrible. I mean, Take a nice, good, normal person. Something fucks up in their chemistry, and now they're loony. They're crazy as shit. And then
Richard, what's been is that like friends of yours who've done drugs or just not
No, I
related
mean,
to?
like, so my mother has schizophrenia. So my mother's
Okay.
crazy. And then, eventually after so many years, they found pills that fixed her to a degree. And so I know the difference between being yourself and not yourself is this little tiny pill you put in your stomach, and then once you understand that, it changes your thoughts on human consciousness. You're like, well, there isn't actually consciousness. There's really just the statistical likelihood that you'll have a certain set of behaviors. And if we raise the temperature or put you in pain or give you these types of psychotics, or if you're crazy, these types of antipsychotics, then the set of likely behaviors in the future totally 100% changes. So in fact, what you are is your pain level, your diet, your temperature, whether you just had an argument with someone else 20 minutes ago, whether you stubbed your toe, and whether you took a psychotic or an antipsychotic, and like, this concept of you and self, it's like, you didn't exist before you were born, and you won't exist after you die. There's just now. That's all there is. People don't like to hear that shit because they want to feel good. They don't want to feel like they've got to actually fight. They don't want to feel like they've actually got to cure things and work hard and they're responsible. They want to feel that they're not responsible for their own survival. They're not responsible for their own health and wellness. Someone else is. And it'll all be fine, because if you die, you'll go someplace better. Nope, you won't. You'll just be fucking dead, and it sucks. And so you should not do things that suck. You should do things that are good. So you should fight against that, fight against the dying light type of thing. Well, it was rage against the dying light.
I picked up on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, stop being a bitch, put in the work to make the world a better place. You'll get to enjoy it. And while you're enjoying it, you can also get rich doing it. People will pay all of the money they have to save their fucking life. They'll pay more than all the money they have to save their fucking lives. There's a lot of money in saving lives. Not only can you get very wealthy doing it, but you can maybe save your own life or your loved ones' lives. And so, when I hear that someone's a doctor or researcher, I believe that's the best thing a human being can do with their life. There's some things that tie into that can help them: material science, computer science, finance to some degree. Crypto, if it gets wide adoption, can improve the efficiency of mankind by maybe 1% or 2% GDP, maybe more. So there's these certain things that make the whole system better. And in that whole system, the most important thing are the things that might save your life. And so I believe medical research and physicians, and to some degree the arts and comedians that work on your mental wellness, that's the most important stuff there is. And there's a lot of shit that is not important. A lot of shit that is not important, and people waste their whole lives doing it. So there's a branch of industry called, gaming. And there's an evil branch of gaming and a good branch of gaming. The good branch of gaming makes narrative games that have a beginning and an end, and they're better than stories. You get to be the hero, right? And then there's the fucking destroy your life, turn you into a subhuman machine, a human ATM that just performs a repetitive action over and over and over again with no start and no end, and consumes the maximum amount of your time and just destroys your fucking life. So this would be like Clash of Clans, a lot of other games along that genre, casual games that suck you in with freemium and then take you for as much as they can fucking get, and have like 80% of their revenue from like their top 1% of clients that pay like 20 grand a fucking year to play a dog shit casual game. You're like, what? So you're raping people for 20 grand a year for your fucking garbage casual game because you figured out the psychology of it? You're fucking evil. You're the worst. You're harming mankind. You're taking someone that was successful in life and destroying them so that you can do what? Hire more researchers to create a new horrible fucking game next year? It's disgusting. This is what you do to an enemy in war to destroy their culture, is get them addicted to a fucking shitty casual game that sucks up all of their time and all of their money. Horrible.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you stated some of those points in your gaming video that you did, 2.5 years ago. So I highly recommend that if anybody watching does have problems with gaming and addiction, and you certainly know who you are if you're watching,
Yeah.
to check out Richard's video on that.
South Park had a great episode on it. Someone's
Yeah.
mentioned in chat.
Yeah. When they all got super fat and zits and shit. Was that like 10 years ago or something?
I think it was a different one. I think it was they were just making fun of the casual games. So the fat zit one was like a World of Warcraft one, which was just funny. But then they had another one that was about the economics of casual games and how they fucking ruin people's lives.
Okay.
Or like loot boxes, getting kids addicted to fucking gambling. What are you doing? What are you doing getting kids addicted to fucking slot machines and video games? What the fuck is wrong with you scumbag, horrible people?
It's so disgusting, but how do you outlaw something like that? I don't even think
that's easy.
Okay.
That's actually easy to outlaw.
Okay.
You could be like, yo, if we find kids that are addicted to some shit that's harmful for them, we just fucking outlaw it. Fuck you guys. I'd rather have kids watch porn and jerk off and that'd be done because their dick's sore and then they have to go back into the world in real life again than fucking be addicted to casual games. I'm not learning anything. You're not learning anything. You're not becoming stronger. You're not like...
I've seen it destroy a few, not destroy, but I've seen it really negatively impact a few friends' lives, which I won't mention.
I've been there. I blew a decade of my life on this shit. So like I know I've got 20,000 wins in StarCraft. Wins. Each game's 20 minutes long, average. So I blew man years of my life on just StarCraft, and that is one game of which many I have played. Not good. Not fucking good.
For sure. Richard, I like what you've said about, in previous things that I've watched of you, about taking that type of intelligence or mindset and putting it to skills that are actually useful. And the British fellow, I can't remember his name. This was maybe 6 weeks ago. I watched it, and he interviewed you in like July, and he was complaining. He was older. He was probably in his late 40s, maybe 50s. He was complaining that the skills that he had kept getting outdated by technology or just the world changing. And you had a great reply to him. It was like, well, dude, get some skills that won't go away with technology, like sales, marketing. Yep. And I saw again the light bulb like go off in his head, and that's great advice. So I want people to think about that right now. And Richard, maybe you can expand upon that since we're talking.
I wrote a whole book that's better than anything you're hearing now that has all of these ideas and more. And it's called SciVive, and it's free. And you can go to t.me/SciVive, SCIVIVE, and SciVive means survive through science. And it'll tell you how to get rich, how to get laid, how to be stronger, how to pee better, literally. Like it will tell you, hey, why is your butt hairy, but like other parts of your body aren't. That's all in the book. Shit that you've been curious about that no one else will tell you. I'll tell you. It needs to become more than what it is. So right now, SciVive it's not even fully edited to be a book to be published. It still needs to be edited. It's an outline that has everything you want to know factually in it. It will tell you what to do. It doesn't have the narrative glue to stick all the parts together. So you need to just trudge through it and read it randomly, pick out the parts you like. You don't have to do it in order. You don't have to do it linearly. And what I'd like to see happen, and so HEX is my cryptocurrency that I invented. It's going very well. We've got over $1 billion that have claimed free. Over $1 billion of Bitcoin has claimed their free HEX. We've got over 10,000 wallets, addresses that have made over 60,000 stakes. We've got every day like 1,000 or 2,000 more Bitcoin claims. What else? The metrics on that are going very, very, very well. Very happy with where that's going. Where I'm not happy with what it's going is SciVive, because I've put no time into it. No one else has put any time into it. What we need is a world of people that want more. A world of people that want to be healthier and stronger and live longer and build the technology that will make that happen. And so what we've got huge cults of people that unite behind common themes of shit that is dumb. So when I lived in Florida, I was a fan of the Miami Dolphins. And then one day it occurred to me, why am I a fan of the Miami Dolphins? They changed the mascot, the coach, the players, the name of the stadium. What is left that I'm fucking rooting for here? And I don't even have any control over any of these things whatsoever. So why am I screaming and yelling when the play doesn't work out? How stupid is this? So I stopped. I'm like, all right, that's stupid. I'm going to stop doing that. Well, instead of having people unite behind these fucking groupthink banners of whatever, sport or politic or race or nation, why don't we get behind something that is better? Why don't we get behind something that's like, yeah, we care about fucking medical research and fucking science, and that's what we care about, and get the branding and logo and things around that to make it sticky and fun and retain engagement and give people social rewards for participating in that. And that shit doesn't exist right now, right? So if you're pro science and pro research and pro progress, what do we call you? I have been in the space for long enough that I can come up with some words to tell you that have no popular fucking impact at all. Like humanist, nobody knows what the fuck a humanist is. Transhumanist, the less people know that one. And neither of those is well marketed. I mean, Dawkins tried to come up with Brights. That shit was epic fail. And so there's been no cultural mimetic movement to popularize caring about the most important stuff in the world. And I want Sci-Vive to become that. So it's short, it's pronounceable. I think people like the science angle in it. I wish I didn't have to spell it when I said it, but maybe I don't have to spell it. I'm just overdoing it. Maybe if I just said Sci-Vive, people would understand it. I want that to be a brand and a movement that gives people personal excellence and wealth and all of the joy of being alive. And once you've already lived that to the best of your ability, okay, let's have more. So I'm already eating the best food. I'm already having the best perfume. I'm already having fucking multiple orgasms. Great. Okay, now what? Oh, I want more. Let's do that for longer. Let's not have it fall apart. So I figure if I can get people with the sex, drugs, and rock and roll and then pivot them into the honorable good behaviors and good life and investing in things that are better, not worse, investing in medical technology instead of getting kids addicted to games. If I can get humans to do that, then I will have improved the world. And it's already worked to a small degree. I've already affected, 100 lives to a strong degree, like strongly affected 100 lives based on just making some YouTube videos a couple years ago. I threw like $1,000 of marketing at it with YouTube, and they just fucked me and gave me kids wanted to learn their alphabets as traffic. Cocksuckers. Horrible, horrible company. Disgusting. And I'm an internet marketing expert. I chose the right demographics. I set the fucking campaigns up properly. They just fucked me and gave me bad traffic because they could. To find the screen that let me finally discover how bad the traffic was that they gave me is a dark pattern. They hide that shit someplace you'll never find it. Google Analytics is fucking cancer. They don't even delay, like a lot of things on the internet actually got worse. Like back when I started internet marketing and had an internet marketing company with 150 employees that I founded back in 2001 to 2003, you could tell how people were getting to your site because their browser would tell you where they were referred from. And if they were referred from a search engine, you could tell exactly what keywords they were coming in on. So guess what fuck-ass Google does? They just remove that shit. They're like, yeah, we're just not going to tell you what they searched for so that you can buy AdWords. Give us money, thanks. Scumbags. Now when you do a Google search, the first half of the page, actually on mobile, the first page is all paid. It's all your competitors advertising on your keyword. And then if you fucking scroll down, you might find the actual thing they were searching for because they're scumbags. So, welcome to 2019. Maybe 2020 will be better, but we've never had less choice. You've never like capitalism is not doing a good job where social media and search and video is concerned. For the things that you use every day that are important to you, like the thing we're talking on right now, capitalism is not doing a good job here.
You ever heard that George Carlin bit on choices? You know, how you have 8 different flavors of ice cream or whatever, 23 for Baskin Robbins, but when it comes to the things that actually fucking matter, like politics, you get like 2 choices.
Yep.
It's a good Google that or YouTube it if
in America it's really one choice. People don't understand that American politics, like People in America think that like there's a big difference between Republican and Democrat, but the rest of the world has a laugh, and they're
They
like,
agree
no,
on like almost all the most important
right,
things that we
exactly.
all rest of the people disagree upon. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, you have no Labor Party, you have no Green Party, you just have corporate insane and corporate normal. You don't need, there's no fucking, which I don't like as a corporate guy. Like, I'm like, yeah, I like corporate, so fucking sure. But at least I know that there are other perspectives on how a society could operate that are nothing like what those two parties are trying to do. I mean, shit.
And the Republicans, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, Hillary Clinton was trying to run and she came around on gay marriage. What? Last? Like, she was the last politician to be okay with it. You're like, is this fucking, let them be as unhappy as the straight people. Let them fucking be unhappily married like everyone else. What's the big problem? Yes. Like, fucking.
It's ludicrous. Well, let's not digress too deep into politics, because that could take up the whole live stream.
Yep. So my perspective is I want to make a goddamn impact in health. Now, I know I need to cut my caloric intake desperately. I know that. I'm a stress eater. I'm under a lot of stress recently. Hopefully that behavior changes, because, the likelihood that I can add 4 or 5 healthy years to my life through just stop eating like an asshole is better than the medical tech works out. So you got to look at this like Elon Musk does. So when Elon Musk got a shitload of money when he sold PayPal, he said, okay, well, what am I going to do with the money? Well, let's do stuff that matters. Okay, well, the stuff that matters is extremely unlikely to work out. You want to start a new car company? Okay, it's never worked out. Name one new car company that's worked out in the United States in the last 100 years.
And not just a new car company, an electric car company.
Exactly. Right.
2003.
Right. And then he's like, yeah, I also want to compete with Northrop Grumman and McDonnell Douglas and the other entrenched monopolies or pseudo monopolies that get government contracts. I want to compete with those guys and make fucking impossible, never before land themselves rockets. I want to do that too. And I want to do them at the same time. Be like, what? So he knew that they were extremely likely to fail things, but they mattered so much that they had to be done anyway. So it's like pot odds. It's like expected value. You're like, yeah, you know what? Not likely to win this hand, but the chance that I could get that money is worth it. So let's stay in and find out. So like, if you care about surviving and not falling apart and dying with a whimper like a bitch, put your brain and your money into things that might cure that outcome and fix it for yourself instead of other shit. So we need a longevity fund. Right now, if you want a green fund and invest in green technology, it's available to you. But if you want to invest in things that will still make you wealthy but might save your life, I don't know that there's a popular one of those. Maybe Peter Thiel's girl, who I can't remember what her name is right now, Asian girl, with her longevity fund. Maybe that's the ticket. Maybe that works well.
And Richard, by the way, Peter Thiel did donate to SENS many years ago. I think it was $6 million. So
Peter Thiel's the real deal. Peter Thiel is the best resource we have in Silicon Valley and in business in general to promote longevity technology.
And Richard, I have his book back there, 0 to 1. It's all my books that I talk about, and I've read it 3 times, I think. Mm-hmm. And as you're telling the story of Elon Musk, I want the audience to understand that 0 to 1 is the best way to think about this stuff. And you want to do 0 to 1 on things that actually matter, so we all want to live longer and healthier. So that's what I'm working on, and it will impact people. It's a fundamental truth. No healthy person is ever going to want to say, I just want to get old and die.
But it's what they do. They won't say it, but it's exactly what they do. You're like, wow. And not only will they do that, but they'll convince you that you should do it too. Don't make things better. Fuck, I don't want to live any longer. Well, then just go early, fuck bitch. Make space to get it over with. Like, I hate that defeatist bullshit. It's so gross to me. Like, you realize this will be cured. Your dumbass just won't be here to see it. It's going to get fucking cured. This shit is going to get cured. You just won't be here. So, like,
or if it does happen in their lifetime, then they'll most likely change their mind about it once it's done. Like many people do with technologies, like, I'm not going to adapt and use a smartphone in like
Right.
2011, then 2012, then 2013. All right, I'm using a smartphone because I
it's better.
finally see that it's better, and then I can't resist anymore.
Yep.
But 0 to 1, guys, it's a great book. I highly recommend it. It's practical, and it will help you understand how to really move forward in a practical way with technologies that matter. So we'll plug
I disagree with on the book. So I think the only useful takeaway from the book is two things. One, a cool interview question, which is, what is something you firmly believe in that most people disagree with you about? And he phrases it differently. He says, what is something you know to be true?
Correct. What is one very important truth that most people disagree with you on? It's the contrarian question.
Right. And that question is only as useful as you realize that he's trying to find outsized economic returns by underserved industries where there will be no competitors. And so the book 0 to 1 is based on talks that he gave at Stanford, I believe. And one of his students took good notes and then just basically wrote the book for him, and he slapped his name on it. And it's his ideas from those speeches that he gave.
Correct. He was teaching graduate MBA course at Stanford. Correct.
Yeah. So what he's identified is that if you are a monopoly, like Google is, you do everything you can to look like you're not a monopoly. So Google 100% owns search, but then they say, well, actually we're only 2% of marketing, right? So they just expand their scope, and they're like, we're just a little guy, because they don't want to get antitrust legislation on their ass, which they should have. It is a fucking utility. It is a utility, and it should be regulated as such. It is more of a utility than the phone ever was. And the phone was a utility. So let's be fucking serious. Google's a utility and should be fucking regulated. But people have forgotten how shitty companies can be. So they've forgotten why they got regulated in the fucking first place. Because they don't realize that both the government and the companies can and are evil, and you have to fight both of them. And so if you've got evil governments on this side flanking you, and you've got evil businesses on this side flanking you, the correct response to a flank is to all in against the weaker side of it. And then you gain distance against the other people, and you go into the side that you might win against. And then if you win against that side, then you can turn around and fuck the other one up or continue to flee. So tactically, the correct response to double flank is to rush the weak side. And that's what you need to do with government versus fucking bad business, right? So who's going to fuck you over harder right now? Well, harder right now is all the crypto YouTubers were banned basically a couple days ago as a Christmas surprise. Did you like that, guys? Did you enjoy that? I warned you about that 2 years ago. I told you to regulate them or regret it. And then I bragged about it when it happened. I was like, hey, guys, remember these tweets? No, none of you libertarian motherfuckers wanted to press like on. None of you libertarian motherfuckers wanted to retweet because you think you know better than me. You bitches don't know shit. And that's why you can't talk anymore, because you've been silenced. Because you're like, we're fucking libertarians and we're strong and we hate the government. Well, you forgot about the other enemy, because the government's not your only enemy. It's just like getting pulled over by the police. The criminals and the police are your enemy. They're both trying to fuck you up. They don't have your best interests in mind. When you get pulled over, you know the best outcome for you? Not getting shot and getting a fucking ticket. You're not getting a high five. You're not getting a hand job. At least I hope you're not. I don't know. I don't know what kind of law enforcement is going on where you live, but if you're getting a hand job, man, I don't know if it's by voluntary or fucking if you're
probably
like
not in
supermodel.
America. Maybe with some of those other countries.
Yeah. So I haven't had a great experience when I've been pulled over, and I haven't had a great experience when I've been robbed, and I understand that they're both not on my fucking team. The criminals are not on my team, and usually the police ain't on my team. I've had the shit robbed out of me a bunch of times. I ain't never get nothing back. Nothing. Not a fucking thing. Like, can I get something back? Can law enforcement do something good for me and get me some of my stolen shit back, please? Never fucking works out. So, you got government and bad companies both trying to fuck you. You got law enforcement trying to fuck you. Now, obviously, yeah, they fuck up bad guys too, but they fuck up good guys too, right? So if they're eyeballing you, nothing good going to happen to you. You're not going to get birthday presents. You're not going to get cash positive. The best that can happen is you don't lose. That's a shitty situation. So, what do we do to make the world a better place? We get people to focus on the right things, use the right language, use the right branding, and get the money. You got to ask for the money. So I put at the bottom of my videos, if you want to donate to charity, donate to sens.org. I will like to upgrade that to include commercial options as well. So, for me, After Hex is the Sci-Vive book and its cultural movement. I think I can help a lot of lives. I already have. And I think we should give it a good shot at seeing if we can get it to go viral and be a thing. It worked out for, what's his name in Canada? Peterson. Worked out for Peterson. I think I give better advice than he does. Yeah, I think my advice is more actionable and more profitable than his advice. And it worked out for him. And so I'd like to see it work out for us, at least to the same level. And his is progress. Like his is good shit and ours is good shit. And it would be good if everyone that was doing good shit was displacing the bad ideas. I can't even, other than his positions on religion, I pretty much agree with him on everything. So then...
Richard, regarding Sci-Vive, I'm reading it right now.
Mm-hmm.
My two critiques are one that you already mentioned. It's not edited
it's
yet.
Not a book.
So
it's an outline.
There's some grammatical in there, which I was actually like an editor in high school. I'd be happy to help out on that.
I will give you right access to the Sci-Vive edited OneNote, and you can edit it away. You can fix the shit out of it.
You have a backup copy, obviously, right?
Yep.
Okay, I'll do that. And then the other thing is, which might help with editing, I'm not a fast reader, and it's long. Like the information there is good. I don't.
It's like 500,000 words or something.
I don't have any good
like
advice
8
on how
books
to
of
shorten
fucking.
it.
Well, your first book's supposed to be like 75,000 words, and Sci-Vive I think is like 425K words. So there's like 6 fucking books there. So like it might just be better to split it up into multiple books, which would be okay too. Like I'm fine with that. Might even be better. So
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot of good information, but it is long, and I have been trying to read it, and I am reading it, and I will finish it, but it just might take me a while.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Just remember, if it gets hard, just skip it. Just go to the next thing. It's not linear. Like you can skip huge chunks and it won't matter. So HEX, cryptocurrency, it's going amazing. I believe it's better than Bitcoin. I got a lot of really good evidence to support that it is. It's designed to go up to over 10,000x in 2.5 years. I have no idea if it will. It could go to zero. It's cryptocurrency. Bitcoin could go to zero. HEX could go to zero. Or it could beat the performance of Ethereum, which is where that 10,000 number comes from. So Ethereum just did 10,000x from 15 cents to $1,500 over 2.5 years. And I think that this is designed in a way that it could outperform that. I don't know if it will, but it surely could and was designed to. So we'll see. Then Sci-Vive, which is give them the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and then pivot them into good, wholesome medical research, because they won't go there first. You tell them we want to cure aging, they'll be like, fuck off. You tell them we want to cure cancer and heart disease, they won't say to fuck off, but like, maybe. You tell them, hey, I can get your dick sucked and make you rich, and then you could go do these things. And then they're like, the riches and dick sucking sounds good. And then you get them onto the next thing, right? This is all obviously a very male perspective podcast. But you know what?
It is
Crypto's all male.
True, though.
Crypto's all male. YouTube's all male. My audience is all male. So girls, if you want to endure the foul language and the crude commentary, you're going to learn a lot of really cool stuff here. But I'm not going to sacrifice my effectiveness and enjoyable conversation with my bros for the 0.5% of you that, have vaginas. Sorry. Increase your numbers, and then I'll readdress my speech patterns. You can't choose your audience. So whatever audience I have is just organically however it happened. It's not like I advertised to just guys or anything.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and longevity research is actually pretty similar.
It is. And even the girls in it, you find out that they used to be guys. You're like, oh, that's interesting. You're like, there are really a lot of guys here. Even the girls used to have dicks. This is interesting. Not all of them, but a lot. Which is weird, too, because like biology is primarily a girl thing. Like there's more girls in biology than there are guys, but for some reason, I think it's this quest for power, right? Cryptocurrency is your quest for personal sovereignty and strength and power in economics and finance. And now we're just doing the same kind of shit with our own bodies. We want personal strength and personal power. So guys seem to be power focused. Girls seem to be caring focused. which is good because they pop out kids and feed them. And we are, more mobile, quicker, and more warlike because it just worked better back when we evolved. Who knows what we'll look like in 100 years, right? Well, I know what I'll look like if I don't change my diet. I'll look like
we
dust.
all know what we'll look like in 100 years. We'll be fucking dead. That's why we're having this conversation. Why we're passionate about the work that we're doing in longevity, right?
Yep. So what I want to say the path: HEX, Sci-Vive, Save Your Ass Fund, which is really going to be the Save Your Ass Sets Fund. If Peter Thiel's girl, who I totally regret referring to her in that way, so maybe I'll look up her name real quick so I don't have to keep being an idiot about it. I'll give you her name. So the Longevity Fund that you can find at longevity.vc is run by Laura Deming. And she's smart. So go check her out. Maybe I don't have to build the Save Your Assets Fund because she's already doing a good job at it. Or maybe I should chuck a link at the bottom of my videos to sens.org and the longevity.vc website. I'm not sure because I haven't had time to look into it. But that's the game, right? So we need the crypto thing, cool. The popularized science and medical research and progress and excellence, Sci-Vive. Save Your Assets Fund, boots on the ground, money into the right things. And then synthetic biology startups in the space. So I got a friend named Bill Liao that runs Rebel Bio, which is a synthetic biology accelerator at Ireland, and either help him or build something similar to what he built to help get startups in the space. So we need startups making health better. We need a fund which deploys assets to probably larger tier things to make health better. And we need to popularize a cultural movement to get other copies of people like me doing those same things, just like Bill Gates did with the Giving Pledge. Bill Gates was given lots of money and he's like, well, this ain't enough. Let's get everyone like me to do it too. And then he got everyone like him that was ultra wealthy to also kick ass as well, which I think Sci-Vive is more likely to create more copies of productive people focused on saving their own fucking lives and the lives of their loved ones. So that's the path. HEX, Sci-Vive, Save Your Assets, Synthetic Biology Accelerator. I should come up with a cool brandable name for that behavior because Syn Bio Accelerator sounds too many words. But maybe I haven't put thought into it yet. That's the path. I'm trying to fit dieting in there somewhere.
That is a very relevant and I'd say rational path to this, the way that I see it. At least you're fucking trying. At least you're doing something. 99.9% of people on the planet just have a defeatist mindset when it comes to extending their health span and lifespan. And Richard, towards the beginning of the live cast, you were stating something that I want to make sure people understand about being old and being close to death. The best way to extend your lifespan is to extend your health span. So I want to, Richard, I know knows what that means, but I want to make sure the audience is 100% clear about what that actually means. So that is a scientific, biological, factual statement that I just made based off all of the longevity experts that I've interviewed. They all are in accordance with the statement that I just made, which is that the best way to keep you alive and healthy is to just keep you young and healthy biologically. I mean, we all were born a certain date. We're all getting older chronologically. That will never change. But reversing human aging, I believe, is possible, and I believe it will happen. But that's going to be more difficult to do than just slowing and stopping human aging. It's much easier. So in other words, if you're 95 and you're old and decrepit, there's so many things going wrong in your body. It's going to be much easier and cheaper from a time, energy, investment standpoint to, reverse my aging at a relatively healthy age of 34 in healthy condition than it is a 95-year-old. So that's your motivation right there. I want to, at some point, Richard, now, an hour from now, whenever, I want to talk about what I believe to be actionable things that people can be doing right now. And We can have discourse on that. You can say, I don't necessarily agree with that. We'll have a conversation about.
I think it's actually a pretty short conversation. So
Okay.
basically, like David Sinclair, who discovered resveratrol and is working on other things like M&M, and I think another chemical that he believes is superior to M&M, which is a molecule he's working on to monetize and hopefully works. He says eat less and eat less often,
Yes.
and I think he mentions one or two other things I can't remember off the top of my head. Maybe you know them.
David Sinclair has become the most popular longevity person. He's crushing the social media game. He's got his book out right now, Lifespan. I haven't read it yet. Shame on me. It's on my list of things to do, but he's crushing the game. Follow him on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all that shit. And you are correct, Richard. That's when he's asked like, what is the number one thing you can do to improve your life? He always answers, reduce the amount of calories you take in, and also increase the amount of time you do intermittent fasting. Get to at least 12 hours every single day. And that might sound really difficult, but we'll get to something else that most people in longevity never mention, which is sleep, that I think is super important and that I talk about. And I'll be interviewing sleep experts. But think about it. If you are sleeping 8 hours a night, which you should be doing, then all you have to do is not eat 2 hours before you go to bed and 2 hours after you wake up, or whatever combination you want to get to that 12 hours of intermittent fasting, which is incredibly important for many reasons. We can talk about those in a minute, or I can share with them now, but I want people to understand those are two of the easiest things that you can do. And those things will actually improve your sleep as well. The intermittent fasting and reducing caloric intake.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know that, and I've known it for a very long time since I read Roy Walford's 160-year diet in fucking 2002, and hired chefs and then ate their food and then normal food, and it didn't work. I had my own two personal chefs, and I didn't lose any weight. By the way, I went on this longevity.vc website, and guess what? My idea that I had, well, he's already doing it. So he's
What is
got,
that?
yeah, it says here that they've got 125 labs, internal company creation that conceptualizes, builds, and scales frontier biotech companies. And then he's got an age-1 biotech accelerator. And then he's got the longevity fund, which takes you from seed to Series A. And apparently these longevity fund companies have gotten over $500 million in follow-on funding. And they had the first IPO in 2018 of a reverse aging company. So he's doing my idea. It's already working. Great. Fucking maybe I can just promote his shit. I hope so. So yeah, check out longevity.vc, and maybe it's kick ass, right? So sens.org, sens.org, longevity.vc. Sens.org does accept crypto. These guys probably accept crypto too, because Peter Thiel's got a giant bag of Bitcoin. So
Yeah, and Richard, that's one more thing that I want to bring up. We talked about, or at least I kind of talked about, similarities between cryptocurrency and longevity, the mindset, the similarities, which we haven't really touched much upon them. I just brought up the idea, but one way that they're completely different, and I want the audience to understand they're different, we want to stay different, is that cryptocurrency is a lot about competition. There you can have cooperation within certain projects and companies, but the longevity movement in general is a very cooperative environment because we're all working for the same goal, which is to extend your health span and your lifespan. And I, for one, don't really give a shit which company ends up making the biggest impact there. And I just want it to happen. And we're all in the same boat in that sense. So it's a very collaborative and like fresh feeling. So if you're in crypto and you want to like start focusing on this a little bit, you'll have that maybe positivity, just kind of side effect of everybody kind of working together in a general sense.
yeah, like if you really want to get something done, you don't give a shit who you have to work with to get it done. You're like, all right, I'm working with purple people, aliens, anti-government freaks, a one-eyed dude. Like, I don't care. Like, whatever the fuck we have to do to get the job done, right? Like, let's make progress. So this I tell you, really wanting to get the job done destroys classism, racism.
Right.
If it makes the world like all the stuff that these equalists or feminists are trying to get done really does happen in the real world when you care about a mission and a goal, you know.
That's
So
why, Richard, like, regardless of what you think about Ronald Reagan, put your political beliefs aside. You know, that UN speech that he gave in the 1980s, where he said, hey, if aliens came down to Earth, then we would all quickly join together as the human race to fight the aliens, assuming the aliens were combative against us. You know, like, we need to all
yeah,
align and
yeah,
realize that aging is coming for us all. It
yep,
fucking sucks. It
mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be this way. I want to throw out a quick statistic so people understand like the situation that we're in, because most people don't understand this. So on an average day, about 150,000 people die. And from those numbers, about 110,000 people die from aging or age related diseases. So cancer, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all those would be in that 110,000 category. So by definition, aging is killing more people than anything. Yet you don't hear about it like this in the mainstream media and popular culture. And the reason for that is generally complex, but I think it's basically succinctly because people don't believe it's possible to do anything about it. So the religions of the world for thousands of years have done their best to create belief systems that, hey, there's nothing you can do about this, so you just need to accept it. You know, and the Peter Thiels of the world, the Richard Harts, the folks, you know, have decided, well, I don't accept it. I want to fight this. And I think that we can using science, and we are making progress. We have reversed aging in multiple species. They're just not necessarily humans. So, I mean, I want to be careful with that statement. I think that we have reversed many biomarkers of aging in various humans, and we can get into that. But I have not seen an 80-year-old human reverse to looking like they're 50, you know? So we haven't seen that yet, to my knowledge, and I don't think it's happened yet. And that's the gold standard. That's what we all want.
Yeah, I agree. And even if you didn't want that stuff and you just wanted to make money giving it to people that did, great. Go get rich, healing humans. Do it, please.
And one other thing you mentioned earlier about cancer, I want people to understand, if we cure cancer, it's estimated that about 2 to 3 years or so will be added to the average lifespan of humans on the planet.
It's just
So in
three.
other words, yeah.
If you cure
3.
cancer, you get 3 years. If you cure heart disease, you get 3 years. Those two things kill 80% of people. If you cure them both, you get 7 years. The math's fucking weird, but it checks out. 3 + 3 is 7 in this situation. So if you can do something for mankind that gets them more than 3 years, it will be worth more than curing cancer. If you can do something that gets them more than 3 years, it's worth more than curing heart disease. So that's why I believe in regenerative medicine, because you get so little from curing cancer and heart disease. 3 years ain't shit. So, I mean, it's very easy. That's why I want to pitch that we're going to cure cancer and heart disease and then cure them through means that cure a lot of other shit too, instead of cure them individually and get barely anything done, because they're side effects of a decaying system.
Richard, I really do think that that's the right approach. I mean, I do. I'm not just stroking you right now. I think you are pretty intelligent and have a good track record when it comes to marketing and branding. And Dr. Michael Fossil, who I interviewed last month, you know, agree or disagree on the telomerase gene therapy. I mean, you've stated where you stand there, but his company Telosite in America is trying to do telomerase gene therapy with FDA approval to cure Alzheimer's first. And then if they can actually work on people who have Alzheimer's and don't have any other options, there is no cure for Alzheimer's, you know? So if it can actually help slow.
Apparently they've got a new thing with ultrasonics, which makes a good impact on it, that just came out.
I've seen that stuff. I've been reading some articles recently that you mentioned there and some other stuff, but like no cure. I haven't seen an actual like.
Right.
That's what they're trying to do with Telosite. And so then obviously if that were to happen, and I think that you believe that's a big if, I think it's probably a pretty big if too, but I hope it happens. But if that did happen, then the next logical leap would be, hey, let's do the same telomerase gene therapy on a 80-year-old person without Alzheimer's and see if it actually reverses their aging, or see if it does do that. So in other words, Michael Fossil has been in the longevity space for over 30 years. He wrote the book called Reversing Human Aging in 1996. He's an MD and PhD, both from Stanford. And that's the approach he's using. They're trying to piggyback on the huge diseases that we all in society hate so much and are affecting us, like Alzheimer's,
That's
cancers.
great. Yeah.
And then trying to reverse it that way. So it's not just you thinking that, they're using these approaches, and I think it is the best way to go.
I think it's hilarious that I went to this longevity VC and then it like describes my plan as what they're already doing. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking sick. Cool.
Dude, I mean, you figure out
he probably had the plan before me, just didn't tell anybody.
Maybe not. I mean, but like having an idea in your head is great. I've had a lot of great ideas in my head. I'm not making excuses. Like I don't have the skill set to actually execute on many of the ideas. I have a great idea. I want to transform into another like dimension or out of the universe into a multiverse. Well, I have no fucking skill set to do that. So
I started volunteering for the Sens Foundation back in 2006. I did the video for their event in Cambridge.
I saw that video of you with you were longer hair. You looked like a younger guy there. Yeah.
I was 13 years younger. And I blew a decade of my life playing fucking video games. So now it's time to get back at it, because the game hasn't changed. The same problems are still there, and the internet hasn't really changed that much. So let's get back and fucking attack. I'm happy to be back in the game.
Cool. Well, I'm really appreciative that you would do this with me, and I'm just happy to share any knowledge that I have. I'm learning every single day. Like I've been interested in this stuff for about 14 years, but I'll say from actually interviewing longevity experts and then going to RadFest, meeting people. I don't like Facebook in many ways, and I know you hate it as well, but there are some pretty good groups in longevity.
You got to go where the people are.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the approach. I've completely changed my mindset on Facebook this year because that's where a lot of longevity enthusiasts are. Is they're an older crowd, and it's funny, the older people are more on Facebook.
Yep. The older people also have all the money, so.
Yep, they have handy. That too. Yeah, so I'm using Facebook in that sense to kind of network with those people. But one thing that I wanted to get back to real quick, Richard, is the action items. I do want the audience to feel empowered. Like, hey, there is scientific things that we can be doing right now that are pretty well understood. And like, I've done these things more on my body, and I'm like, holy shit, like I feel younger, look younger. Make your own opinions about what I look like right now as an almost 35-year-old man. But if you look at pictures from me when I was slaving away at corporate sales jobs, not living my healthiest life, only getting like 5 hours of sleep sometimes and less to get that sales deal done or whatever. Like I was not looking good in my late 20s, early 30s. And I've really reversed some certain things with these lifestyle practices. So I don't want it to be all me talking, but I can throw out some ideas.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Believe me, I talk enough for everybody. So just attack.
So regarding sleep is the number one thing, in my opinion, that can impact your health in the most dramatic way. And it's also seems to be the thing that almost all these longevity experts are not talking about. They don't really talk about it. But whenever I bring it up like this, none of them disagree with me and are like, sleep's not that important. None of them do that. So they know it's important. But most people don't know much about sleep. So Dr. Matthew Walker came on the Joe Rogan podcast about a year and a half ago. So step one, I highly recommend everybody watches that podcast. It's about an hour and a half. When I saw that, I was like, holy shit, sleep science is way more advanced than I realized. I've been trying to learn about sleep for over a decade. I'd watched documentaries, but for whatever reason, I just wasn't getting the proper information. So I then listened to a bunch of Matthew Walker's podcasts on YouTube and other avenues when he was promoting his book. And then I read his book, Why We Sleep. So I highly recommend all those things. And then I'm scheduled to interview 2 sleep scientists on my YouTube channel in the next one in mid-January and one in March. I saw both of them on Tom Bilyeu's channel just a couple weeks ago, and I hit him up on LinkedIn, secured interviews. So sleep science is really, really advanced. We can talk about very specific.
I can just tell you shit to make your sleep better real quick.
Yeah, please do. And then I'll probably agree with all of it.
Sure.
Because action items are really important. So let's stick on action items. Go ahead.
So if you guys want to have better sleep, 1, turn on the blue filter on your phone, turn on F-Lux on your computer. Apparently Apple has it built in there now, because your circadian rhythms, the rate at which you sleep and wake up, are affected by the presence of blue light, and blue light makes your ass wake up. And so if you want to go to sleep, it's nice to have your brain know that the fucking sun went down and to not give it a virtual sun from your phone and from your TV. So you can turn the brightness levels down. And you can change it to a more yellow, more firelight vibe by removing the blue. So a piece of software that can do that's called f.lux. It's built into Apple devices now. It's built into Android devices now.
Do you have to turn it on your iPhone or iPad?
You have to turn it on everything.
Yep.
It's not going to be a default thing. You have to activate it everywhere. The next thing you can do is actually use your body during the day so that when it comes time to sleep, you're tired because you fucking used your body. So strength training or cardio, which I haven't done cardio in a long time. But, if you use your body, you're going to go to sleep quicker because your ass is tired. Another thing you can do is it's called sleep. What's that word for hygiene? Sleep hygiene. So what you're going to do is you're going to limit sound. You're going to wear earplugs. I suggest you use earplugs that are not foam. I suggest that you use wax earplugs. Because if you use foam earplugs, when you turn your head, your foam earplug will rub against the pillow and it creates a very loud sound called microphonics. Just like some headphone cables. If you rub the cable, you hear it like a stethoscope in your ear. It's horrible. And some wires that just don't do that, like some Bose wires. They're like a silicone that when you rub them, they just don't make any noise in your ear. It's called microphonics. So if you use a wax earplug, one, it'll make sure your ears have wax in them, which is good against shit like swimmer's ear, apparently. Two, it doesn't have the microphonics problem because it doesn't stick out and hit anything. And then even if it did hit, rubbing wax doesn't have any near the same sound profile as rubbing foam does. You can also use what's called a Marpax sound machine, and it's used for helping babies go to sleep. It just makes a natural white noise using a little fan, but it doesn't actually generate air movement really. And it's vastly superior to anything you can find digitally. So MARPAC, it's a company in the United States, but they also, I believe, have a branch in the UK called DOM, DOHM. And these devices, they just plug into your wall, draw about 28 watts, 15 to 28 watts, depending on the model, and creates a very soothing, adjustable. You can adjust the pitch, the high to low pitch on the top spinner and the intensity on the bottom spinner. They'll give you more amplitude and more different higher or lower pitch. And that's the best sound machine you can get. And that'll drown out erroneous noises that appear. Sirens, doors slamming, toilets, whatever the fuck's going on in your house, or if you have shitty neighbors. You slap those earplugs on there, you turn on your sound machine. And look, even if you have good sleep, you don't know whether your sleep could be better until you try. So even if you sleep like a fucking rock, which I do, I find that it's still better to slap the earplugs in and slap the sound machine on. And even if you get 3 to 5 to 10% better sleep, that's worth it. Totally worth it. Another thing you do is some people take some melatonin, and melatonin is a little counterintuitive in that if you take too much, I think it not only doesn't help, but I think it works less good than if you take the right amount. So you really got to watch your dosage on melatonin. So we've got removed.
That's the one thing, Richard, real quick. Everything you've said there is in total alignment with like the latest sleep science. One thing Dr. Matthew Walker said, so don't shoot the messenger, which is me. He says that from the latest research, he would only recommend taking melatonin when you're recovering from plane travel, time zones,
right,
to get over jet lag, because he thinks that it's and he wouldn't even recommend it there. That's the only time he said it was okay. So he does not recommend taking melatonin.
I don't really recommend it either. If you can do shit without, if you take a complex system and you try and modify it by making small changes, it's much more likely you fuck it up than you make it better. So if you take your car and you just pour nitro in the fuel tank, watch how many things break.
Right.
The system was designed to operate with certain shit going on. So if you can make things work without chemicals, it's better. So what do we got? Earplugs, wax ones. Brand I use is called Ortho Packs. I have a pack sitting here because I just buy them in bulk. Like, fuck it, just give me a bunch of these. I don't ever have to be without. So Marpac sound machine, Ortho Packs, earplugs. They come shipped with like cotton around them. Just get rid of the cotton. It's just for shipping, so they don't like get stuck together.
iMasks are super crucial and easy and cheap on Amazon or wherever you want to buy them.
Maybe So I don't like eye masks as much as just doing real light control with blackout blinds and tape.
You should do that too. You want the
Yeah.
room to be as
Right.
literally completely pitch
Yep.
dark.
Yep.
And this is, I cannot overstate this with people. Like, especially in modern day, we have alarm clocks. We have all
Yep.
sorts of gadgets that have little lights on them. In Matthew Walker's sleep, so he's the sleep scientist at UC Berkeley. He's also now Google's dedicated sleep scientist. In his lab at UC Berkeley, they had somebody completely dark underneath the covers in the sleep lab, electrodes on their brain, shined a little light behind his knee, and you could see the hypothalamus light up and the brain start to wake up. So your skin cells
Yep.
have light sensors on them. So yes, black out the whole room. If you can't
Yeah, you
do
can
that,
you
or
can
if you're
use little
traveling,
black stickers or blue sticky shit or
Yep.
bubble gum or whatever the fuck you want to cover up LEDs, because half those LEDs you don't fucking need them at all, and they're
right.
abusively bright usually.
Degree temperature, 68 to 62 degrees Fahrenheit is what's shown to be the best temperature for sleep. I found that a little surprising. I was sleeping with the temperature a little bit warmer. It fucking works. This is science. Don't
Yeah.
argue with science. And so wear socks.
It also depends on your body fat and the type of blanket you use and some other thing.
Everything Richard's saying is definitely true there. Like, there's factors, there's personalized medicine is a theme that I want everybody to understand. This is the future,
I have a caveat on that.
Yeah.
In this case, you will probably get better sleep without sleep monitoring. So what tends to happen is, so I bought some fucking strip that you put under yourself to like monitor your sleep, and the presence of that strip and you knowing that it's there and making you think about whether you're sleeping properly or not adds a degree of sleeping less properly because you're eye fucking your sleep.
Yeah.
And so like it actually, I'm not really an anxious guy. I'm like whatever, but it's
you're thinking about
this
it,
tiny
right?
these tiny things matter, right? Like what's the difference between like good steak, bad steak, good perfume, bad perfume? We're talking about tiny degrees of difference. Also for sleepwear, people talk about high thread count. I have no idea why. High thread count costs more and feels like shit. It feels like paper. Get jersey, t-shirt material. There's a reason everyone chooses to use this on their bodies because it feels great. Well, it fucking feels great for bedding as well. And it's quieter. If you rub it, it's not loud. So I think jersey material is fabulous for body feel, like skin feel and sound and affordability. So I'm a fan of jersey over high thread count paper-like sheets. I don't understand why anyone likes this.
Those are all great points. I also think that if you can understand your chronotype. So the gentleman I'm scheduled to interview in mid-January, his name's Dr. Michael Bruce, Breus. Just Google his name with chronotype, CHRONOTYPE. You take a little quiz of his on his website that takes maybe, 7 minutes. And it will really help because it's personalized medicine in the sense that as you age and as your life changes and things about you change in your lifestyle, he recommends not just what time to go to sleep and wake up, but what's the best time to have sex or ask for a raise or do your most creative work. So I recommend that as well. Another thing's wearing socks and also even gloves if you want to, and even a hat. The reason is, and it ties into the temperature, your brain needs to lower about 2 degrees Fahrenheit to go to sleep. So that's why if you actually put on socks or gloves, I don't personally wear gloves, but I wear socks every night and the dry fit ones so my feet aren't all sweaty and shit. It really helps like kind of trick your body to get the heat to escape because your extremities get warmed up, so your body thinks that it's like warm, so the heat escapes, so your brain temperature lowers, you go to sleep faster. It's a little hack.
A neat one.
Another
That's a
hack
cool idea.
is it works too, and it's super easy. Another hack is if you can take a hot shower or a hot bath, not necessarily hot, but like warm, not super hot, about 2 hours before you go to sleep, and it's the same concept. Your body will release the heat to lower the core temperature, and your brain is what really needs to lower.
Right.
So there's some other things too, but Richard, like,
I don't know. Is there? I don't know if there is. I think we got everything except diet shit, more diet shit, or jacking off before you go to sleep or something. I
So
mean,
then here is it, Zach, jacking off before you go to sleep, I think definitely helps. Like there's no doubt about that. Having sex, just getting a good orgasm, male or female, like that would, we all know that, right? But this is why I start with sleep first, because Matthew Walker hammered it home to my brain that sleep should be the foundation of health. That's where everything starts. Because if your sleep is messed up, it screws up with everything
yeah,
else. And you're trying to get better diet and exercise. Well, guess what? If you're not getting the best sleep, your brain
I
starts
got one.
less healthy foods.
I
Go
came
ahead.
up with one. Sleep apnea. Joe Rogan talks about this a lot. My father's got terrible sleep apnea. And if you get higher body weight, your sleep apnea kicks in. So your fucking throat just gets in the way of your breathing. And then you're snoring, your fucking heart will stop and your lung, like you'll just get basically near death. And then you'll be like, and then you'll come back alive. It keeps resetting so you never get into deep REM sleep. And then the next day you're a zombie. But now that you're a zombie, you don't realize you're a zombie because your consciousness doesn't work as well as it used to. And then it gets worse
Yep.
and it gets worse. So my father spent a good decade of his life or more as a zombie, falling asleep during movies and just not being a full human. And as a kid, you're just irritated by that. You're like, what the fuck's wrong with my dad? Like, I can't stay up for anything. But you don't realize that it's a medical condition from
Right.
sleep. And now that we know that, you can
It's
fix this.
treatable.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
fix it
yeah.
with a CPAP machine, which you strap it to your face and it jams air into your body. Or you can use this device that's like a mouth guard for football, and you bite onto it and it pulls your jaw forward, which gives her more space for your air, your esophagus, fucking air hole. That works too. And so, you could go through your whole life having good sleep, and then this shit could come and hit you because, your body changes as you get older, or your weight changes, or the position you sleep in changes, or your sleeping situation changes. And now, you can start snoring and not getting good sleep anymore. And by the way, snoring fucks up the people next to you too. Like that, they probably don't sleep as good with you making that racket. So if you can do a CPAP machine, you're going to sound like Darth Vader, but you'll be a totally different human being the next day. You'll see things you didn't see before. You'll have thoughts you didn't have before. You'll be able to remain alert. It's like day and night difference. So there's probably a lot of undiagnosed people listening that have sleep apnea and just don't know that they have it. So one way to cure it is a CPAP machine. Another way to cure it is that mouth guard. Yeah, I think we knocked sleep out of the park. So that's actionable. That's shit you guys can really do and really use to make your lives better. And some of it just costs money. You don't even have to think. Like those OrthoPax earplugs. I mean, you're talking, what, $5 or something? Shit.
It's actionable. These are easy things. I mean, you could spend a bunch more money on a mattress if you have the money. That's a responsible thing to do. But the things we touched upon are all like cheap, easy things. You just have to get that momentum going, right?
I got a $120 Amazon foam fucking mattress that I bought for giggles instead of an airbed. It's awesome. It's fucking great. So yeah, like it's fucking like, what do you want for $120? Comfortable ass, better than an airbed thing, Airbeds suck.
There's actually one more really important one that I don't think you touched upon, Richard, which is going to bed and waking up at the same time pretty much every single night. That is really, really important. So obviously that's not possible when you're trying to be an entrepreneur, traveling all over the world, but it is really important to do that if you can.
You might be right, but my schedule's so fucked that I want to pretend that that's not there because that shit's not happening for me.
It's actually one that Dr. Matthew Walker has said.
Yeah, he's probably right.
The most important. And yeah, when I heard that one, I was like, son of a, because I mean, this stuff is not all easy. We're not telling you, like, I'm not telling you that like this is going to be easy, but if you just do most of these hacks, it will improve your life. You will see it. You'll start craving healthier foods. One thing you said earlier too about getting out, I want to include, if you have sunlight, get out.
Oh yeah, good point.
And do it in the morning if possible, and exercise in the morning if you can too. Do not exercise about 4 hours before you're going to bed.
That's a good point. Yeah, sunlight, like your body needs sunlight to create vitamin D. So most black people that live in northern climates are vitamin D deficient because they don't get as much sunlight as their body was designed for. Like, people don't realize that a human's color is based on how much sunlight it gets. So if you think all black people in Africa are the same color, they're not, because some parts of Africa are more rainy and some parts are less rainy. If you're in the rainy part, you get less sun, so the black people there are lighter colored. And if you go to a part with less rain, the black people there are darker colored, because it turns out your skin color is a function of how much sunlight you get. And if you want to find, really, really light colored people, farther north you get, you're more likely to find them. And it's basically modifying vitamin D levels based on sunlight. So yeah, your body has a real strict relationship with the sun in regards to, is it wake up time? Is it sleep time? And then, vitamin D, you need it for your immune system. And fucking people with tans looks better anyway, because their eyes stand out more. The whites of their eyes look whiter because the skin's darker around them. Their teeth look whiter. Tans in general, when they're not overdone, just appear to make you look more healthy, which is why you find them on the cover of so many magazines. So if it improves your health and improves your circadian rhythms and gets you laid more with a higher quality of mate, okay, well, that's enough for me. Unfortunately, I don't go out very much, so I need to improve some of these things. Some of these things I got done, but some of them I don't.
And Richard, you don't like to share where you are, but
No.
are you, obviously it's December, you're not in a climate that's even nice right now, right?
You'll never know.
I love it. Okay, so there is one more, there are other things about sleep, but I think Richard and I touched upon the most impactful, easiest ones.
Yeah, we could give you the military. The Navy came up with a way to help you go to sleep by using a very simple mental tactic to clear your mind. It's better than counting sheep, apparently. It was developed in World War II. So that mental, what was that word we had for when a thing's clean? Hygiene, mental thought hygiene pre-sleep is also effective,
Okay, I'm not fully following. I have my little ritual that I do before I go to sleep, but please continue.
Well, I don't remember the specific. You'd have to Google it. You'd have to Google Navy sleep tactic or pattern, and then.
But do you remember what it is, even if you don't remember?
Well, you're changing your focus and doing something. So you lay back and you pretend that everything's going great and that you've done everything that you needed to do, and then. I think that's the frame, is that you're removing anxiety.
I kind of do that, but I do it in a more intellectually honest way with myself. So let me kind of tell you the talk track that I have with myself before I go to bed, because I think it's highly, highly helpful for people, especially people who suffer from anxiety or have any type of depression or nightmares. So I don't really have nightmares ever. So what you do before you go to sleep is you just say, for example, I'll say, reality. I don't believe in God, so I don't pray to God or Lord or even the universe. I just call this thing that we're in reality. So I say, reality, thanks for a great day. Thank you for my son, my wife. Had an awesome webcast with Richard. I'm really appreciative of that. I could have done this better. I could have done that better. I'll try to get better on that. And I try to take a mental meta tag of how I can improve. And so that's my way of being honest with myself, but also being positive. Because if you get yourself in that type of a mindset right before you go to sleep, your brain's more in theta brainwave, and that's where you want to be, which is creative, but it's also where you're going to be in certain cycles in sleep. And so you'll find that if you think about those things, you'll tend to dream about them more and have more positive dreams, and also drift off to sleep easier. So that's my little tip on that, and it works if you do it properly.
Yeah, all this stuff helps, right? Yeah, so I think we did enough. We can do more of these in the future. What matters is that we get results for the audience and that their lives improve, I believe. You've learned a shitload about sleep. You know about longevity.vc website. You know about sens.org website. Both of these places you could throw money, and to some degree, perhaps your life will be longer because they figured stuff out that turned into science that helped you, hopefully. If you want to make 10,000x gains, possibly, hex.win or pumpamentals.com if you want a 10% bonus. What else? You can free claim if you have Bitcoin. They're free. If you want to transform Ethereum into Hex, you can do that as well for the next 330 days, I think. Maybe less, maybe 326 days or something like that. What else? Yeah, go read t.me/scivive. If you want to talk about or hear about crypto price, t.me/Richard's Calls. If you want to follow me on Twitter, with the 50K other people on there. It's twitter.com/Richard Hart Win, youtube.com/Richard Hart. And then I've got like 20 other channels. Like I've got 20 channels on Telegram for like everything imaginable. What about your stuff, Brent?
I'm on your Sci-Vive channel or group. You call it a group, right? Or is that a channel?
It's a group. Channels are just broadcast only. Groups are bi-directional.
Right. I'm in that group. It's about 1,300 people. I don't comment much, but I read every single thing in there. Sometimes I'll go a couple of days without, and it's like 800 messages. But I read through them, and it's really good information. You've created a really good community there, so I highly recommend people do that. Richard, can I just reel off a few other things real quick?
Yeah.
Back to the action items, things you can do. So we mentioned sleep first. We mentioned intermittent fasting, calorie restriction. Obviously, food, everybody has their own opinions on food. I think that the microbiome is really important. And I've been using a company called Viome, Viome, since March. My wife and I have. I got it from my parents, or my mother and mother-in-law. Think about it like this. Your body's about 38 trillion cells is what your body's made up of. It's different for everybody, but go with me that it's about that. It's estimated that your microbiome is about 100 trillion cells, so way more, that are not human. These are not human cells. So long story short, they're having epigenetic effects on your cells. So eating a diet that's specific for you based off your microbiome is beneficial. Now, whether Viome has actually done that properly or not, I don't know. I pooped in a little thing that they gave me for, I think it's $150 now. They keep lowering the price. I paid $200 for it in March, but you poop in their little vial. They use their machine learning, their algorithms. They send you back in a few weeks what they recommend foods you eat and avoid. I've been doing it since March. I think it's improved my health. There's obviously no way I can know for sure. I just want people to check it out. But just remember, microbiome is something that's really important for health and something that we're just in the infancy of finding out, I think. That's my opinion. So that's kind of like food. And then when it comes to exercise, obviously, I don't think I need to talk about that much. We've already mentioned it, but it is really important. So have fun, play sports you enjoy, get out and walk every single day, get out and get sunlight, just be active. Think positive, be an optimist. Like, I have so much information that can make me a cynic. There are parts of my brain and personality where I'm super cynical. I mean, I am trying to make YouTube videos about longevity. So, I mean, that's really difficult to do and get people interested in. So I get it. But you just have to stay positive, because it shows that people who live the longest, centenarians and super centenarians, they are optimists. And the placebo effect is fucking powerful. So just stay optimistic. Do whatever you got to do. It's okay to be in a bad mood for a few minutes, few days. Your mom died. It's okay to mourn for a few days, weeks, or months, but you got to snap out of it eventually. Like, we need productive people to do productive things. So be an optimist. And then I'd say after that those are the main things. There's other things too, but I didn't want to end the webcast without those few things there.
Yeah. Look, there's a whole branch of literature called personal development, and if you read the top tier books in the space, you're going to have a better life. If you read How to Win Friends and Influence People, or Tony Robbins stuff, or a lot of other people's stuff, you're going to have a better life. So you heard some tips on how to have a better life here. And I wrote 2 books really, and really they're like 8 books worth of words. So like, there's no amount. You could vastly improve your life in a whole shitload of ways if you cared to, and you should care to. So do it. How can people find you, Brent?
So I'm on Facebook, as I mentioned, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. They're all just Brent Nally. My Instagram is brent.nally. It's Nally. My YouTube is just Brent Nally. Facebook's Brent Nally, and Twitter's @Brent Nally. Right. I have Patreon as well. It's pathetic. So if anybody wants to give constructive criticism on how I can improve my Patreon.
What's pathetic about it? Having it, or how much money is coming in?
Not having it. How much money is coming in is pathetic, and what it
how
looks
much you
like
getting?
Is pathetic. I think I have.
If it's public,
I think I've gotten like $6 in donations. I think.
God damn.
I actually don't know that. I never talk about it. So this
pathetic.
is.
God damn.
No, I know, because I never talk about it. I put all my social media in the link at the bottom of all my YouTube videos, but this is literally the first time I've ever brought it up, because I'm normally interviewing like longevity experts, and it's weird. I don't plug myself.
I
I
hope
plug them.
that someone gives you more than $6 goddamn dollars. I hope.
It is pathetic. I put all of like 15 minutes like setting it up. I was
Yeah.
just like, all right, I need to do Patreon.
Look,
Everybody.
man, of what use is a newborn baby? Eventually the shit could turn good, so, stick
Right,
with it.
right. So also, I'll give you my email. It's just brentnally@gmail.com.
All right.
So please keep the comments and uh, anything, questions, constructive. I'm here to try and make the world a better place, and I'm fucking trying my ass off. I quit my high-paying job in enterprise sales at LinkedIn, Microsoft, to do this stuff full time. I was making good money, and I'm working on this, and I got a 5-week-old baby. I got a baby to feed. I can't do this forever if I don't get,
Yep.
and I'm a cryptocurrency investor, so
Yep.
we didn't even talk about that. But I've been wrecked like other people because I've held. I believe in
Yep.
it, so I've been wrecked there too.
It works. It works out in the long term, usually, if you're holding a good thing. So,
Yep.
I mean, Bitcoin's
Yep.
never stayed down for more than 3 years, and we're
Yep.
down for 2 years now. So,
I'm thinking long term. I'm staying optimistic, but I have no crystal ball, just like
yep.
nobody else does. We have to
Yep.
create the reality we want to see.
Agree with you,
So,
100%. I've enjoyed the talk, and we should do this again sometime, because there ain't that many things better than crypto, and longevity is. Longevity is better than crypto. Crypto will not save your fucking life. Longevity research could, right? So let's do the good things, and this is really the best thing. It's just harder, it's harder to see progress. It's harder to know what's working, and the time frames are longer. It's this is a harder challenge, which is why I didn't keep going in 2006. It was like, fuck, this is hard. Well, now I'm going to go again. I'm going to try it again because it's worth it. And as you said, I mean, look, it's obviously able to be done because Peter Thiel got on board and Google got on board and Human Longevity Inc. got on board and Larry Ellison got on board and Sergey Brin and Larry Page got on board. And there's a lot of smart motherfuckers getting on board now. So maybe the culture has changed and we can onboard a lot of other billionaires and great minds into the space. And I think it's the best progress we've ever had in this space is today. So that's exciting.
Richard, before we sign off, can we
Mm-hmm.
touch upon a few of those things,
Go
like
ahead.
very briefly, rapid
Sure.
fire with those
Go ahead.
billionaires?
Do
So,
it.
so when I was at LinkedIn Learning, I got Calico as my account, and I was so excited. I sold them and made shit amount of money compared to the time I went into. But I got to go into Calico. For those that don't know, that's the basically longevity branch of Alphabet, and I met with
Which
their
is
HR
Google
team,
for
which
you
is Google.
guys. Yeah.
Correct. And unfortunately, they're very secretive about what they do. It's been, I think, about 5 years since they were created, and I'm seeing about nothing come out of there. And Richard, I know you watched my interview with Aubrey. I brought it up with him in July, and it's just essentially a dumpster fire until they share information. They're just not doing anything relevant that they're sharing with the public. Regarding Larry Ellison, he has been very interested. Larry Ellison, so people know, one of the wealthiest people on the planet, founder of Oracle, worth maybe 60 something $billion today. He has been very interested in longevity research for many years. He's had his own secret, like not really that secret, but he's had his own company, the Larry Ellison Foundation, I think is what he's called it. But he since like even shut down the whole website that he had up for years. But he has been interested in this for many years. When it goes to Jeff Bezos, he donated $100 million, I believe it was last year, to a longevity focused company. They're focusing on senescence, cellular senescence. And then Warren Buffett, this is exciting. Peter Attia, Attia. He is a longevity doctor. He runs an anti-aging practice in New York. He does a lot of podcasts. There's sure many people watching right now who know who he is. He said, I heard him say this a little over a year ago in a YouTube video. He said that one of his patients is in his upper 80s. He's been friends with Warren Buffett for decades. And he said he'd see Warren Buffett about every 6 months for the last, like, literally multiple decades. And every 6 months, Warren would have a new investment opportunity or business that he'd be excited about that he'd tell his friend about. Well, he said in the past couple of years, Warren Buffett, when he sees him every 6 months, he hasn't mentioned any business at all. He's mentioned the longevity research he's doing.
That's
Warren
great.
Buffett is 89 years old today, and he's worth like $88 billion. So it just takes one of these unicorns to get interested in this stuff. and make an investment that could change things and speed this up. And I'll end on this. We need to mention this, the Chan Zuckerberg Institute. Whatever you think about Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, put that guy aside. What he has done is he has created the Chan Zuckerberg Institute with his, I think it's called the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, actually. He's created this with his wife, Priscilla Zuckerberg, who's a medical doctor, and he's donated at least $8 billion of Facebook stock, and I think it's 11 billion now, to this initiative. They have hundreds of employees now, and their goal is to cure all diseases by the year 2100, about 80 years from now. And so they don't really say the language like we're trying to cure human aging, like I flat out saying like we're talking about, but that's basically what they're trying to do. And they're trying to do it, I think, in a more open source way where they're trying to figure out what are the best projects and scientists to research, and then they just fund them. They're saying they're not even going to come in and try and acquire them. They're not a company. They're a 501c3 nonprofit. So to me, like, this is exciting, and any way that people can infiltrate them and get those folks interested in the type of longevity science is, I think, a positive for all of us. So I just wanted to end on that with kind of the billionaires getting more interested in this science.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I said, now's the best time it's ever been. So if you're going to make a new YouTube channel and you're going to do something with your time researching, or you're in school and you want to choose a profession, fix the meat, fix the people, work on biology. It's the most important thing in the world. It's the most important thing in the universe, actually. So then we can harness those, decades of stored energy and people that have accrued massive amounts of wealth and deploy them to superior projects. If you're a billionaire and you put all your money in the bank, it is getting used. It is getting deployed. You're just not having any say in it. So it's better that you have some say in it and put it towards the right things, and then the world can be a better place. Because if you just let people that take those loans out against your money do whatever they want with it, they could do stupid things or things that make the world a worse place. Hey, I'm going to do some research on how to get some more kids addicted to gambling and games that have no narrative end and just consume all their consciousness, and then they can be destroyed mentally. What a horrible thing that industry exists. So I guess that's it. I think we did it. We can do this again sometime. I like how you warned me at the beginning the sun would go down, and then you would look like
I was turning into like
midnight
Darth
stream.
Sidious there. Yeah, I just opened the windows right at the end. Yeah, it's 4:37 here in California, right. So the sun's starting to go down for sure.
All right. Brent, it was good talking to you, man. Everybody, hope you learned something.
You as well, Richard. I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Ciao, man.